Oh, hi. Welcome to March. Spring is almost here, not that anyone has told the rain out there. Anyway, coming up this month on the Leading with Integrity podcast, I have 4 more brilliant guests and discussions for you. Starting this week with Scott Abbott. We'll be talking about his BOS-UP moments. That's boss with 1 S, not 2. You'll have to watch the episode this week to find out what that's all about. We'll also be hearing about his experiences as a coach with the over 10,000 coaching sessions he's done in his career, the role of technology in the workplace in leadership, the role of people as well, and potentially the future of work. So quite an interesting, all-encompassing conversation this week. Next week, I'll be welcoming Jenny Green. We'll be talking about her experiences being a parent at work, what leaders can do and should do to better support working parents. We also veer into creepy bosses, how not to be one, so important lesson to cover there. And there's some other leadership lessons along the way as well. The third week of the month, Tony Silard will be here. We'll be talking about loneliness for leaders in the workplace as well, in society more widely, some of the gender dynamics of work and relationships, as well as how leadership joins all of that together and what those leadership implications of it all are. And then in the final episode of the month, I'll be talking with Bill Derrick about navigating the storms of life, from global financial crashes to personal and health. He shares his experiences, what got him through those challenges, and what he learned along the way about leadership and life. So some big topics this month, some meaningful conversations, and some very open and transparent guests as well. I hope you'll enjoy all of that. Keep watching now. There's a short clip from each of those 4 episodes to give a little preview taster of what's to come. Have a great month. See you next time.
Each one of my moments has a brief little explanation, and then the gems, and then we have prompts which you can use AI for, or sit at your kitchen table and journal it with a good old-fashioned pen and paper. But here's what I wrote about harmony. Everybody talks about having balance, but balance is a myth. It's static, rigid, and impossible to maintain in the real world. Instead of balance, what we should be pursuing is harmony, because harmony is about integration, rhythm, and flow. Harmony tunes life and leadership into something sustainable, meaningful, and powerful. And if you think about a meal, right? A meal is not balanced with just meat and potato. It's got harmony between protein, vegetables, carbohydrates, the drink. If you think about music, sometimes the treble's high, it's low. Sometimes the strings are more noticeable and the percussions are a little lower, right? So again, semantics here, buddy. Having fun with you on this one, right? But the gist, balance or harmony, here's the point. You are absolutely correct, man. This is where I would just say you can actually use your AI to say, hey, balance this out for me, harmonize this out for me. And again, you're going to get an input, but what are you responsible for? The output. Mm-hmm. Never let AI be the final version of output before you say yay or nay. And again, that's where I go back to balance and harmony.
But I also think there's a sense of we have that pressure to, be present with our children, make all the memories and stuff like that. And I think because we're working more, there is that. I mean, my kids' screen time's gone up through the roof this week. But then yesterday, I was like, after I finished work, I said, right, let's go out. There's a little village near us that has a nice little playground, and it's usually very quiet. So I said, right, let's go there, and we'll, you can get some fresh air, and we'll do some stuff together. And they were just throwing sticks into a stream, which they were more than happy with. And I thought, that's lovely. You're in the fresh air, you're doing something outside. But, would my mum have felt that guilt back then? I don't know. But I was sort of like, right, I've been working all day. Let's go and do this together. I know it's not much, but we can do it together. We can get outside. And I make a point of doing things like that. Partly so I'd feel a bit better as a parent about the fact I've been working all day. But I think it's almost that sort of tip-tap thing. I'm working more, so I'm going to make sure that I also spend this quality time with you to make up for the fact I've been ignoring you quite a lot of the day. I think it's that credit debit thing.
Loneliness dysregulates. When we're lonely, we don't make as good decisions. Loneliness will actually derail your career. I had an example of this recently where a young CEO, this was actually a guy that was interviewed by Brene Brown. this young CEO, he just thought, okay, I really love what you're sharing, Brene, about vulnerability, and I'm just going to go and I'm going to tell all of these investors in the first round of funding of our company that the truth. You know what? I'm in over my head. I just don't have no idea what I'm doing. And she's like, whoa, wait. You don't want to do that. That's not the kind of vulnerability where, that's what happens is that when we're lonely, and many CEOs, many senior leaders are lonely because who can they talk to? You can't talk to the board. Talk to the board. It's like, well, do we have the right CEO? If you talk to your employees, it's like, okay, you're leading us and you don't know what you're doing. So many leaders find themselves, they have these huge decisions they've got to make, and they've got no one they can talk to. And that is one of the main drivers of loneliness at the executive level.
We were creative, but obviously we needed it to end. I mean, we couldn't have gone on forever that way. And that's one of the advice that I would give people that are going through hard times, not just financial times, medical or loss of a loved one, the grieving process, whatever it is. I call them storms in life. I always say, one of the first things I say for advice is the storm will end. Even though when you're in the middle of the storm, it feels like it's going to go on forever. And that is a hard thing to face. So if you can face it up, as soon as possible, that this storm will end. May not end the way you want it to. Not all storms end with everybody lived happily ever after type thing, but the storm will end. And sometimes that storm is the hardest. It is really hard. And we're grieving, so to speak, in a financial situation or whatever it is. We're grieving from not being where we were because we liked where we were. And all of a sudden the storm comes and upsets everything. And really what we're doing is we're on a journey to someplace else, a new normal. And we don't like that storm. And we think it's going to be with us forever. And it is. It will end.